One of the most important skill set in marketing is the ability to sell with words, and that's copywriting. Whether you're creating a Facebook ad, you're writing a video script, you're sending out an email, you are creating a funnel, you need to write copies in each piece of this marketing puzzle. So in this video, I'll be revealing one simple hack that I've used to write high converting copies even though I'm not copywriting trained, even though I'm not very good with language.
Je m'appelle. Je m'appelle.
Mais poupou.
So before I dive deeper, do give me an early thumbs up for this video as this will help this channel out greatly. And if you're new to this channel, every week I post videos on my journey of building online businesses and my investing journey to retire by 35. I don't have any investment courses or make money online courses to sell you. I'm simply sharing my journey and value adding because I just love creating content. The only thing that I'm selling is a marketing software for business owners to generate more leads and sales. So if you don't need that, just hit the like button and enjoy this content. The key to creating high converting copies is empathy. And empathy is described as the ability to share feelings of others, the ability to look at your audience point of view or different people's point of view and people to know how they feel and what they're thinking. And this is one of the reasons why I became top sales in my previous company when I was leading a sales team, right? I wasn't particularly a very good salesperson. It was just because I could understand how my prospect were feeling every time I sell to them. And therefore, I was able to craft a different marketing message or a different sales message when it comes to closing. And so when I lost everything and I transitioned to become a digital marketer a few years back, I was able to pick up copywriting fairly quickly. I was able to identify that copywriting was one of the most important skills that I need. But instead of going through the traditional way of buying a bunch of copywriting courses, which is what a lot of copywriters do, attending a bunch of, masterminds and, learning a certain structure, I didn't have all of that at the beginning. Yet I was able to fairly pick it up very quickly. And I was able to write high converting copies that generated millions of dollars. And I believe it's due to empathy. And so I'm going to bring you back to some of the things that I talk about in my last videos, where I talk about being customer-centric and being product-centric. See, most people are being product-centric, right? They're always focusing on how do I sell more of my product? How do I sell more of my services? The focus is always on what they want to sell instead of what the customers want to buy. And so if you want to be able to sell more of what you want to sell, you have to start thinking about it from your customer's perspective. You have to start thinking about what your customers want to buy, right? Their pain, their problem, their solutions, what they're feeling in order for you to sell. So this comes back to copywriting, about writing what you want to write versus writing what your audience really want to read, right? So selling what you want to sell versus selling what your audience want to buy. So it's all about your audience and your customers. And empathy is the ability to see things from their point of view. This way, you're able to say things or write certain copies that captivate them to read on and to touch on their emotions such as fear, aspiration, inspiration, motivation, whatever, and ultimately get them to take action, which is to purchase something right away or to sign up to become a lead. So if you think about it, if you're able to think from your customer's perspective and you're able to write copies that can evoke all these emotions, it becomes fairly easy to get people to take action on something. You don't need an 8-step, 9-step, 10-step solution to write a copy. Now, even though those are good, and those are things that our company uses right now, because as our company grew, I needed to create frameworks to teach my copywriters how to write. And we started having these frameworks. But if I were to strip all this framework away, or even if they have this 10-step framework, and if they don't have empathy, even with that 10-step copywriting framework, they wouldn't be able to write a copy that converts. So how do you develop empathy? And this is the secret right here. And I've not seen a lot of copywriters share this before. And so here it is. The secret is reading novels.
Wait, you mean read?
While we're still alive?
So let me bring you back to a story when I was 15 years old and how I discovered this. So when I was 15 years old, I actually never liked reading books.
Reading? I didn't know you could read.
In hindsight, I realized that there are a lot of people who don't like reading and they just, have this mindset that I hate reading books. Books are not for me. But the truth is because they're reading the wrong books. And I will come to that later. But long story short, I was failing my English language when I was in my secondary school.
Je m'appelle.
Je m'appelle.
Mais poupou.
And, my teacher actually suggested to me that I should read more novels because there has been certain research and proof that the more you read, the better you get in your language. So I started reading books even though I didn't like to read. But what happened was that I started to see my grades got better. But not just that, because when I was 16 years old, I started doing sales. And I realized the side effect was that I noticed that I had the ability to put myself into others' shoe because I was reading novels. See, when you're reading novels, it allows you to tap into the mind of the characters in the novel. And so when you do that, and especially if you read more different genre, okay, it actually gives you more diversity, okay, into the way different characters think, feel, and act. And somehow I realized that I was able to tap into, the people I'm talking to. I'm able to tap into their brain. I'm able to tap into their feelings much easier because of this. And so I read many different genres. First started reading Twilight, actually. So I kind of feel embarrassed saying, but it works for me, right? So I started reading that book and I read the whole series. So I read from sci-fi to vampires to detective to drama, where the main character was a female, the main character was a male, the main character was gay or even a lesbian. I actually read a book where the main character was a lesbian vampire. Okay, now let's not get involved with the whole morally, what you believe is right or wrong. But the idea is to be able to see things from people's perspective that are not like you. And so I'm going to put a link into the description where there was some research, and some articles talking about how reading novels actually helps you to develop empathy. And so by doing this, soon enough, I started when I started to join sales when I was 16 years old. Again, I didn't have training in sales and I wasn't very good in sales, but because I was able to think from my audience point of view, I was able to say things, I was able to touch on certain emotions, and I was able to get them motivated to want to buy from me. And so that led me to build a team of 2,000 people under me, and I became one of the top sales leader in that company before everything collapsed, before I went and started my own marketing agency. So this is the most important key when it comes to writing copy, which is empathy. So what if you don't like reading? And here's the thing, every time I share something like that, there will always be people who tell me, there will always be some resistance. There will always be people who say that, Gabriel, that sounds good, but I don't like to read. You see, nothing that you want is always in your comfort zone, right? Everything that you want, the life you want, the business you want, the goals you want to achieve, they are usually out of your comfort zone. You have to always do things outside of your comfort zone. You also always have to do things in your fear zone. And so if you don't like reading, just like me when I first started out, treat it as a skill set that you need to develop. And a skill set, if you want to develop a skill set, you need to develop habits around them. And here are some very quick tips on how you can develop the habit of reading, especially reading novels. So number one is read just 10 pages before your bedtime. So start small. It doesn't have to be one whole chapter. It doesn't have to be a book a day, even though I have another video on how to read a book a day, which I'll put the link in the description somewhere. But you can start small. 10 pages before bedtime. Probably takes you less than 5 minutes. And in my last video, I talked about starting small, right? Because if you start small, you might create a natural momentum and motivation for you to continue reading, right? So read 10 pages, start small. And if the story in the novel captivates your interest, you will naturally feel that self-motivation to want to read more, right? So many of the times I'll read a book, I didn't want to read it. I just tell myself I'll read 10 pages. And as I read 10 pages, the story in the 10 page captures my attention. And so I started reading another page, and soon after I realized that I was reading, 30 minutes to even an hour. And sometimes I don't even want to put down a book. So start by just reading 10 pages, right? It doesn't have to be just treat it as a habit, right? Just treat it as, a meditation practice or, going to the gym for just 5 minutes, 10 pages before bedtime. Number two, you might want to use audiobook during nap time. So nap time is a concept that I've learned from Tony Robbins. Basically, when you're doing something else, like washing up in the morning, making your hair, working out at the gym, driving, those are time that you're already going to spend this time to do what you want to do anyway, right? And so you want to add in an additional thing, which is really listening to an audiobook while you're doing this stuff, right? And so it doesn't take you more time to read a book. So it's called nap time. So just put on an audiobook, right? I recommend Audible. Audible is something that I use very often when I'm driving, when I'm at the gym. I'll just put on my AirPods or whatever, and I would play Audible, and I'll start listening to books. And the best part about Audible is that you can even read books at 1.5 speed to even 2x speed. Naturally, you start to get used to it, and you're able to read a book even faster that way, right? So if you're driving for 30 minutes to work every single day, you can listen to 30 minutes. That's about it, right? So just put on an audiobook and listen. Tip number 3 is don't be afraid to put down a book if it's boring. So get different novels, right? I recommend using Kindle. I recommend using Audible so you don't have to bring the books around. But do what works for you. If you still like physical books, get physical books. But the idea is, if you're reading a book and you read the first chapter or the first 10 page and you don't like it, right? Somehow that story doesn't captivate your imagination or your attention. Put it down. Don't get trapped into the idea of I have to finish what I've started. Especially for reading books, there's no shame to put a book down if it doesn't interest you. It's much better that you do that and then find something else that interests you, right? Find something else to read that interests you, than to continue on something that you have no interest, and then make yourself, right, fulfill the self-fulfilling prophecy that you hate books even more. So most people don't hate reading. They are just reading the wrong books. So get as many different genres that you like, right? Some people would love certain type of genre. Some people don't like certain type of genre. You have to read a couple of books to find out what you love and what you hate. And so get a couple of genre, right? Of course, search for reviews, search for ratings for those books that has high reviews, that has thousands of reviews, so you don't waste your time on something. You don't waste your money on something that is not proven. So get a book that has high rating, thousands of rating, at least 4 stars, at least 4 to 5 stars, and then pick up a few of them, read them, right? If you love it, continue reading. If you don't like it, if it's boring, put it down, pick up another one. There's no shame in doing that. So eventually you're going to find one that you love, right? And that, maybe the story captivates your attention and you will continue to read on more. And that's where you start falling in love with the act of reading. So 3 simple tips. Start small, read 10 pages. Then if you want to go on, you go on. If not, put it down. Number 2 is use nap time, driving, going to the gym, just put on an audiobook. You'll be much easier that way. Number 3 is don't be afraid to put a book down if it's boring, and pick up a new one and find the one that you love. That will help you to naturally form the love of reading. So that's it for this video. Develop empathy so that you can write a compelling sales copy, or even in a one-on-one sales setting, you actually get better with your sales if you develop empathy. And you can develop empathy just by reading novels. So let me know in the comment section what's your biggest takeaway. Put it in the comment section, and if you have any questions as well, I'll be replying every single one of them. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more content like this. That's all I have for you today. Bye for now.